Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. He'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We
It's
have
time
arrived.
to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
It's time
arrived.
to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to
First
demand the
Contact
truth.
Radio. Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. All right, jumping over here, cosmic weather for today. Let's find out what we're going to deal with when we go out and about in the world. Today is the 8th of August, 8/8/2013, moon sign, Virgo, just like yesterday. Virgo is an earth sign. Virgo is, well, Earth, first of all, is all about practical things. Remember, we're looking at energy. It's all about energy. Everything is energy, and energy moves at different rates of speed. It has different intensities, different properties to it, and we learn to work with this energy. There's energy that's fire, water, air, earth. Fire is ideas, water is feelings, emotions, love. Air is words and actions, and then earth is practical forms. What we're doing is we're taking our ideas, we're applying love to it, we're speaking those words out into the world as words of love, and then we're creating a form in that process. Very simple. We just take the ideas, apply love, speak those words of love, create it. Okay? Today, the Hermit, this is Earth. This is the tarot card that represents Virgo. It's all about patience and timing. Okay? No, this is not the cover of the Led Zeppelin album. Has nothing to do with Led Zeppelin. This has to do with patience and timing. The reason that the Hermit has the lantern right there is to hold it up because the Hermit has gone through a process of learning how to be patient and understanding everything works out in a perfect timing, and therefore is able to move through life smoothly, knowing that there's no need to rush someplace because the Hermit will get there right on time. Everything is in timing, and if you're in synchronicity with the timing, then that's the whole idea. And so the practicality of that comes with the practicality of understanding everything is in timing, understanding the patience we have, and that is an important ingredient in creating. Every recipe needs a amount of time to cook whatever it is, bake whatever it is that is being created. And so the Hermit helps us to apply that by being patient so that what is brought down and manifested in the way you want. Okay? We have sun sign is the same as Leo, so Leo's creativity, fire idea, so we got fire on the outside, earth on the inside, and we have a triangle here between the moon, Virgo, and this sign here, which is Pluto. Pluto is deep transformation. So we have Virgo, which is going to go through this phase of deep transformation. The Hermit is in a good place for deep transformation. So the Hermit is the one who goes off on his own, not because he is lonely, but to go out and to gather wisdom, to go off in solitude in order to learn. So in that process, there's already the idea of the Hermit wanting to gain a new transformation, to be transformed with what is going on. So later on today, 5:06 p.m. Pacific Standard Time is when that aspect makes its way. Current moon phase, 3% full, making its way up to the new moon, or the full moon, excuse me. 8 is our tone for today, the galactic tone. Kin is the Earth. Guide is the dragon, so we have the Earth guided by the dragon, galactic Earth guided by the dragon, the wave spell of love and loyalty. Phrase for today is I harmonize in order to evolve, modeling synchronicity. I seal the matrix of navigation with the galactic tone of integrity. I'm guided by the power of birth. Spaceweather.com, our solar wind has subsided from yesterday, 939.3 kilometers per second. Planetary K-index is quiet. Coronal holes are all smoothed over. And our M-class and X-class flare possibility is low. And we've even dropped lower on a geomagnetic storm. Okay? So that's what's going on out there. For a little bit more insight on what's going on with the cosmos, Earth weather, and other things, this is Suspicious Observers for today. Here we go.
Good morning, folks. Sprites, a relatively expanding topic of study. The scene here over Oklahoma. For those who don't need to Google what these are, consider this slowed down version. His camera is not upside down. I bet from space, that looked like a solar flare. When stories came out that ISON was fizzling, we tried to share why that was wrong. Good article yesterday complimenting this stance on the official Comet ISON Observing Campaign website. I quote, "It is premature to write ISON off." Hurricane Henriette, larger bunch predicts missing Hawaii South, but I wouldn't plan on any Sunday picnics on the Big Island if I were you. This would be a very significant storm if it doesn't swing south. Meanwhile, the story here is flash flooding and a major landslide risk according to the TRMM, second tropical storm in only a few days there. They got the opposite problem in Namibia, where drought has destroyed crops and grazelands. Hundreds of thousands of people are in danger of malnutrition or worse. Same story in Europe, storms popping at the convergence line and hot as blazes east of it. Tassie on deck to take it while some bits of New Zealand may wake up wet. Same converging air masses from north and south create the watch zone this evening here, but be wary up the Gulf and East Coast ahead of that pressure convergence. Solar flares continuing to remain weak. Sunspots on the disk are not very impressive. Large umbras up north have no friends. Two southern groups do. Both polarities central on the disk but separated by charge. Magnetic dance coming in on the south, but the umbras are spread themselves. You remember this filament released 2 nights ago? NOAA's Enlil spiral is now confirming NASA's weak impact, perhaps even just a glancing blow. But last night, we had a more significant eruption. South central on the disk. I'd love to have the stereo core 2s right now, but they're lagging, so the SOHO will suffice for this partial halo eruption here. NASA's Enlil spiral clearly shows impact to Earth on the night of the 10th, just hours after that other CME. Let's have a little more fun here with this darkness entering the picture, top left. That's the leading edge of a set of coronal holes fit for a Leviathan. With CMEs coming, that will make for quite a combined quake watch, but for now, we'll stick with last night's watch score of 5. Speaking of watch, dark plasma filament eruption threat turning in now. Shots of our star to close, eyes open. No fear, it's 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and that's the news. Be safe, everyone.
Alrighty, very good, very good, very good. So, prepare accordingly as you go into the world today. Alright, Bigfoot. Bigfoot, Bigfoot, Bigfoot. Have you seen Bigfoot? At least on the videos, right? Perhaps you have. Well, before we get into another video here, this is a website. It's called the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization. Founded in 1995, it's the only scientific research organization exploring the Bigfoot Sasquatch mystery. Alright, and I got maps here of where you can see the various expeditions that they take. They got database of all kind of sightings that have taken place. United States and Canada. Lots of great links here. Alright, let's go down here and let's take a look at about the Bigfoot Research Organization. Let's see what this is. It says that founded in 1995, the Bigfoot Research Organization is now the oldest and the largest organization of its kind, a virtual community of scientists, journalists, and specialists from diverse backgrounds. The The researchers who comprise the BFRO are engaged in projects including field and laboratory investigations designed to address various aspects of the Bigfoot phenomenon. As a result of the education and experience of its members and of the quality of their efforts, the BFRO is widely considered as the most credible and respected investigative network involved in the study of this subject. It has always been the policy of the BFRO to study the species in any way that will not physically harm them. The BFRO organizes and reports observations and directs expeditions to places where the observations have occurred. Through this process, the BFRO steadily improves the size and the scope of its collective expertise about these animals. The overall mission of the BFRO is multifaceted, but the organization essentially seeks to resolve the mystery surrounding the Bigfoot phenomenon. That is, to derive conclusive documentation of the species' existence. The goal is pursued through the proactive collection of empirical data and physical evidence from the field, and by the means of activities designed to promote an awareness and understanding of the nature and origin of the evidence. These large apes are spotted mostly in forested regions with abundant protein sources, deer in particular. They consistently maintain low population levels in those areas, even where the protein source could support dramatically large numbers of them. Consequently, they have never become an ongoing nuisance to human communities or to human livestock. Unlike gorillas and chimps, their family groups are small and mobile, making it very difficult for modern humans to hunt them. Their impact on the land is so subtle that it takes a trained eye to even notice it. They can operate nocturnally, sometimes even close to rural communities, and only be seen, heard, or detected. There are many more things we have learned over the years from credible witnesses. That learning process will continue in the field as well as online. The observations provided by the public have provided much insight with respect to locations and behavior. We expect that humans will continue to have their sightings of these animals, and we hope the people will continue to report their sightings to us. Alright, so that's good insight on what this organization is all about. Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization. Alright, so very good. So, that's a good website. The link's available, so you can check that out. And here is a video today. It's a shorter video. It's called Bigfoot Sasquatch Evidence Analysis. Here we go.
This is considered by many to be some of the best evidence for Sasquatch there ever was. In terms of what I have here, it's a full-size frame from the Patterson film, approximately life-size, give or take an inch or two. And as you can see, this is a very, very big creature. I'm 6'5", weigh about 225 pounds. You can see her body density is much larger than mine. You'll also notice that the mouth is far lower on her face than it is on mine, for instance. You will also notice that this creature has breasts. Now, that would have been a tremendous creative streak in terms of Roger Patterson constructing a gorilla suit, as it were, with breasts built in. It's not impossible to do, but why would you do that when the story of Bigfoot pretty much was built on a foundation of a male Sasquatch rather than a female? We can also see down here on the thigh that there appears to be a hernia.
Athletes get herniated muscles, and the hernia, when the muscle reaches a certain extension, causes it to bulge.
The hernia moves in perfect harmony with the contraction of the femur muscle as the creature is walking in the film.
And they believe that's what that is, something you wouldn't be able to attribute to a suit.
Janusz Prohaska, who was well known back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s for his ape costumes, said, and I quote, "If this is a man in a costume, then every single hair was glued to his body. Otherwise you would never have seen those muscles."
I've read all the accounts of its dismissal and so on and so forth. I'm not convinced by any of them. I still feel that the evidence, that what we call evidence, the canon of evidence, should include the Patterson-Gimlin film.
People say that's proven to be a hoax, right? Well, no, it hasn't been proven, but that's the perception out there. So I don't raise that film anymore, and it's very sad, but raising it as evidence just gets you into a discussion about he says, she says, and claims and counterclaims. I think we should just put that film aside for now, get on with the really hard evidence, especially the tracks, and then one day that we can bring that film back and say, well, what we now know about the Sasquatch is there in that film. On the basis of seeing bear tracks, we say, yes, there are black bears in this area, or grizzly bears. And so this is same with the Sasquatch. This is an original. This is the best cast, actually, that my wife and I were able to make here on Vancouver Island. Unfortunately, between the time we found them and the time we got back with plaster, a hiker had stepped in it, so there's a bit of a boot print there. But other than that, it's just an awfully good cast, showing the large heel and the 5 toes. Here are a couple of casts of an immature Sasquatch from Washington State. And people often say, well, gee, if you got a young Sasquatch, the track would look like a human track, wouldn't it? Well, they don't, actually. One of the things quite common in Sasquatch tracks is the spreading of the toes. The Sasquatch foot seems to be, well, is much more flexible than the human foot, which is quite rigid by comparison. It's almost like the human hand, and then the toes quite commonly spread out like that. This is the largest cast in my collection. It's noteworthy for that point of view. It's also noteworthy because the big toe, the great toe, is quite divergent, sticking off to the side, which is very much an ape characteristic. Of course, in the great apes, the big toe is often straight out. In the Sasquatch, the big toe often diverges somewhat, and that's quite unhuman-like.
That's a gigantic cast.
It's a very large track. There's a bit of slide in here. I'm sure that the heel actually started about there. But yes, yeah, this is an interesting cast because it shows another characteristic of the Sasquatch foot, and just as is shown in these young ones, and that is it is proportionately broader than the human foot.
All right, very good. So there you go. So some more evidence, video evidence, if you will, on Bigfoot. So check out the links, see what you think. I'll have some more information tomorrow, wrap up the week, and we've learned a lot about Bigfoot this week, more than what we knew in the past, or maybe not. You may know a lot more about Bigfoot than we've even talked about here. All right, UFO News is up next.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk. Thank you very much. Today's UFO News has 5 stories. Number 1, right here. This is a compilation video of sightings so far in August 2013. It's only the 8th of the month, and yet there's enough to make a compilation. It says this new video collection of the best UFO sightings recorded so far in August 2013. In the video, we'll see multicolored, filmed in Ontario, U.S. UFO Best Power Up, July 29th. Wow. Okay. Anyway, whole compilation of them. Alright. Well, we've seen a number of these. Actually, the end of July here, 29th, 30th. And now we're going to get into probably the first of the month. Okay, a lot of good sightings here. So what this confirms is that larger groups of people are seeing more and more things in the sky. They're paying attention. And as people are paying attention and seeing things, well, this is why we have so much. Question is, are people seeing things because they have technology, or are they just seeing things more that have been out there and that have always been out there, and the technology has nothing to do with it? It's a good question. Next, this is in Florida. Amazing UFO seems to extract something from the water. I would encourage you to put this video on full screen before viewing. There was only video, so you're seen as a series of screenshots taken from the two. Amazing. You can see the video just below the pictures. Okay, so here's a variety of screenshots, and let's take a good look at this. It says that video shows lights hovering over a pool. The UFO is the talk of the Naples. Residents say they haven't seen anything like it. Experts aren't sure either. Okay, so what we have here, this is Monday night security officer Deborah Lee Thomas was watching the camera feed from behind Gulf Shore Boulevard condo building just across the street from Venetian Village.
Rick Ritter is live in Naples right now with what people are saying about those lights. Rick.
Okay.
Well, Kelly, whatever the showing of lights was, came and hovered over this pool behind me for nearly 30 minutes. Residents say they've never seen anything like it before. Experts, they're not quite sure what to make of it. You can take a look at the video yourself, though, and make your own assumption. This amazing video is the talk of Naples.
I think this is unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this.
Monday night, security officer Deborah Lee Thomas was watching the camera feed from behind a Gulf Shore Boulevard condo building just across the street from Venetian Village. She noticed strange lights swoop in over the pool.
And I realized that it was something that was not normal.
Here's what she saw. At first glance, it almost looks like a saucer-shaped object up top. Then it goes down into the pool and expands like a web, moving back and forth. After nearly 30 minutes, it starts to disappear. Thomas says bugs fly up to their cameras all the time, but this was further away, dipping in and out of the pool.
Was down on the ground, but some of that webbing was longer and had made a funnel down into the pool.
We sent the video off to MUFON, an UFO organization in Ohio. They're analyzing it, but they don't think it's a hoax. That's what Thomas's co-workers thought at first until they saw it themselves.
We watched it on the tape, and to be honest, I was so grateful that it was there so that I could say it was real, it really happened.
On Wednesday, residents were walking in and out of the complex's office, checking out the must-see video.
Oh, how cool.
I've never seen anything like this. The electrical charges coming from it are just truly unbelievable.
But what it is remains a mystery for now, something Thomas is okay with as long as it doesn't happen again. Now, we did show the video to a biologist at the Conservancy of Southwest Florida to see whether or not they thought it was an animal. They don't believe it's an animal. Meanwhile, officials at MUFON tell me this is one of the most fascinating videos they've seen in a while. Coincidentally, this pool is closed for the next few days for some cleaning. I don't think residents are going to be complaining about that. We're live in Naples tonight. Rick Ritter.
All right. Pretty interesting, huh? Have you ever seen one like that? Dipping down into the pool, getting a little bit of water? Hey, why not? Okay, Gabe Valdez. Gabe Valdez is a officer in New Mexico. Here we have a piece that says Rick is joined by Greg Valdez, son of Gabe Valdez, former New Mexico State Patrol officer in charge of Dulce, New Mexico area, for an eye-opening look into the facts behind the Dulce-based stories which have been circulating throughout the halls of ufology for many, many years. This is a 39-minute piece. I'm going to play just a portion of it for you just to kind of get you started. We've heard the story. If you recall, I've done an interview with Norio Hayakawa. The link's available. We talked all about this case in depth, about what was going on out there at Dulce. Anyway, here's a little piece just so you can kind of wet your whistle.
We are extremely lucky to have Mr. Greg Valdez as our guest. Greg is the son of Gabe Valdez. And if you know anything about the Dulce Mesa story, I'm sure you'll recognize that name. Greg has just released a book, I believe, entitled Dulce Base, and he is here tonight to talk to us about it. So, without further ado, as we say, Greg, are you out there?
Yes, and I'd like to thank you for having me on your program. I really appreciate it.
Oh, hey, no problem. I was so thrilled to hear that we could get you on today. So Greg, as I said, your father, Gabe, was a police officer, and correct me if I'm wrong here, he was a police officer in Dulce, New Mexico. And things all kind of started with this story back in the mid-'70s, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. They started in 1976 when he started investigating cattle mutilation mystery up in Dulce as a New Mexico State Police officer.
Oh, okay, so he was a...
All right, so I'm going to leave it right there because otherwise you're going to get very interested in the whole thing and you're going to want to watch it all. But if you recall the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, remember all the cattle mutilations they had? Well, this was out in Dulce. This is connected to that story. Maybe it wasn't in the right location there, but the whole idea, is around this event, okay? Let's move on to the next story here. This one says, bizarre UFO sighting freaks out witness in New Zealand. A West Coast man is freaked out after coming face to face last night with what he claims is a UFO parked on the road outside the entrance to Shantytown. Matthew Robert, a mechanic from Rutherglen, insists he is not alone and that 3 other cars were also confronted by the nighttime visitor on Rutherglen Road south of Greymouth about 8:45 p.m. When the car-shaped object suddenly lifted into the sky in a blinding light, he and other drivers left in such a hurry they left skid marks on the road. I was charging a CD as I was driving when I looked and saw what looked like a car with its lights on. Without its lights on, stopped in the middle of the road outside Shantytown. I slammed on my brakes and my eyes were still trying to focus when suddenly the thing just lit up and shot into the sky, Robert said. When I came to my senses, I noticed that there were 3 other cars that had stopped on the side of the road as well. It's weird that no one else has come forward because those people obviously would have seen the same thing I did. He claims that immediately following the incident, he lost all cell phone reception. His vision was blurry and his eyes watery for about an hour afterwards. Mr. Robert was driving into Greymouth at the time to pick up his partner, Charlotte Rose, from work at the hospital. He arrived there bug-eyed and agitated. Miss Rose said he was visibly shaken. I just looked at him and I could tell something had happened. He was freaked out. His eyes were watery. Coincidentally, Mr. Robert had been looking at the night sky in real time via his smartphone on an app called The Night Sky a few minutes previous. I was sitting at home before I went to town, and I was looking at satellites and other things on my phone. Suddenly, what looked like a satellite started going crazy and moving all over the sky, and I was trying to follow it with my phone. Mr. Robert said he hoped the witness from other cars would also come forward and confirm what he saw. One vehicle was a Mitsubishi Chariot and another a Honda Accord. He did not have a description of the third vehicle. I know people are going to think it's crazy, but I know what I saw. All right, very good. Well, interesting. What would you do if you were driving on the road and you saw that vehicle and it just took off? Kind of interesting, huh? All right, again, like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, remember? They were on the road, and the ships were on the road, and they were following them. Remember that? All right, so a lot more truth to that story than just a story. All right, last one here. This is historic video, and this is from 1931, from Sir Francis Chister. Okay, first-hand account from 1931 of the world's leading aviation pioneers, Sir Francis Chister, describing an unexplained flying craft next to him during his inaugural flight to from New Zealand to Australia.
It was a perfect shape. It was shaped, it was sort of more like a pearl with a tail. And I watched this thing, and suddenly it disappeared. And I thought, well, am I seeing things? I'd had a very grueling flight. I'd been waiting for, I had engine trouble, and I'd been waiting for hours, expecting to go into the sea, you know. However, suddenly this thing reappeared, coming towards me. And I thought, well, I'm not going to let it go this time. And I kept my look fixed on it, and it was approaching fairly fast, and then suddenly, gradually rather, it began to thin out, and it vanished in front of me, and before my eyes. It became a sort of ghost. I could see the water the waves of the sea through it for one instant, and then it vanished.
Alright, so there you go. UFO news. It's an old one from 1931. That's it for today. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. I've got a lot more.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth. People shouldn't be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid.
All right. Continuing on. All right. Okay, here we go. First story. I don't know what to make of these stories. Look, we've got several different colors of beings upon this planet right now. Blacks, whites, reds, yellows, mixtures of them because of all the mixing that has taken place. We should be well past the point of dealing with racism. And for the most part, I think that we are. I think that the members of the different races all understand that we are all different on the outside but similar on the inside. I think for the most part people in the races realize that there's these ugly remnants of past times with slavery and past times with abuse of other people and other races. I think most people in every race understand that all of the races on this planet at one point or another have had to deal with the same issues of slavery and mistreatment by others. So that's something that we all have in common, that we all need to come together. None of us like the issues, okay? Just some are still stuck in the mindset of that. I don't know why. There seems to be a real problem that goes on in this world these days with this idea of racism, how it's used to divide us. Divide and conquer is a very old way in which organizations, administrations have kept people at bay by dividing them in their groups and their races. Now, we should expect that our leaders all see that we are all treated equally, that we are all given the ability to evolve and grow. But we're not seeing that. When we hear comments like Oprah Winfrey made the other day, she's not doing a service to her members of her community, of her race, because instead of giving them real history, she's giving them revisionist history. So those people who don't know anything about their history are going to hear that and they're going to think that's the truth. Well, isn't that doing a disservice to your own race? Aren't you making your race dumber by taking away the real history so they really know what went on? Now again, I believe that this is just a minority. I believe that the majority of individuals within their races understand. I bring this up because here's another incident where Obama, who was supposed to be the representative of the black community, and I say this because when you go out into the black community, there are so many that support him and so many that blindly supported him without any other qualification other than he had the same skin color as them. Well, I think now a lot of people are starting to find out that this man did not fully represent them properly and is out to betray them just as much as everybody else. He has no loyalty to anybody, not to race, not to creed, not to nationality, nothing. Okay? Point in case right here. Obama asked public schools to ignore poor behavior by black children. Racist comrade Barack Hussein Obama recently passed an executive order that will force public schools to ignore poor behavior by black children. In many major cities, black academic performance has actually gotten worse since Obama took office. We have also seen the dramatic nationwide rise of black teen mob violence under the Obama administration. On July 26, Obama signed an executive order titled the African American Education Initiative. The order essentially gives a green light for black students to misbehave in public schools. In 2 places, Obama's executive order calls on schools to reduce the number of disciplinary actions taken against black students. The order specifically calls out schools, too, not relying on methods that result in disparate use of disciplinary tools. To comply, public schools would have to engage in a racial quota system of discipline. The executive order will create a new federal bureaucracy to pressure school systems to comply with the president's demands. The executive order makes no mention of any effort to get black students to improve behavior. There is a reason why blacks are more likely to be disciplined in school. Black students are more likely to misbehave. The U.S. Department of Justice Bureau of Justice Statistics reports that there is a huge crime rate disparity between blacks and other racial groups. So, just talking about statistics here, folks. We're just talking about the statistics with the Justice Department, okay? So, why would Obama do that? Why would Obama lower the standards for how blacks need to act in schools? You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of in 2011 when the Obama administration lowered the standards in Dayton, Ohio for any blacks to be in the police department because they said there weren't enough blacks that were getting into the police department. So they lowered the standards. So all that they needed to get was a D or an F and they could pass if you were black. If you were white or Hispanic or another color, it didn't matter. Why did they do that? Why is a president who's supposed to be representing the black community, why is he apparently lowering standards of them? Why is he having executive orders where saying they shouldn't be disciplined? What is going on? It doesn't seem like it's doing a service to the members of that racial community. Because it's like you're saying you're not as smart as everybody else, so we're going to lower the standards. You're not as well behaved as everybody else, so we're going to lower the standards. That's absolutely nonsense. That's absolutely nonsense. That is somebody pointing stuff out to try to create a racial divide where there shouldn't be one. Absolutely nonsense. Just like Oprah the other day. You got to make sure that if you're paying attention to your leaders or to people you look up to, make sure that they're looking at their history. Don't let the Obamas of the world and the Oprah Winfreys of the world and the Al Sharptons of the world dictate to you a history that is inaccurate, because then all you're going to do is you're going to grow up without the actual history of what's going on. Know your history. You'll find that it will do you a great service in life to really know your history than to not. Then when someone like an Obama or a Winfrey tells you something that isn't accurate or you know, something to that effect, you'll know, you'll be smarter. Because again, I believe that the majority of each of the different racial groups upon this planet, I believe that the majority of them have evolved and are evolving. But I believe within each racial community, whites, blacks, reds, yellows, within all of them, there are small minorities which have not evolved. And when there's things that are passed and where there's misinformation that's put out into the world about how different communities grew up and what their history is, it doesn't help anybody. It's lies upon lies upon lies upon lies upon lies, and we've got to get past all that, folks. We got to get past it. Now, I hope you understand where I'm coming from, and if you think because I'm a white guy talking about a issue between blacks and white that I'm racist, well, again, shortcut to thinking. I don't know what to tell you. We have to be able to discuss these issues. We have to be able to discuss these issues, okay? To me, we're all beings upon this planet. I don't care what color you are. Doesn't matter. We are all God's children upon this planet. That's the only important part. I am so tired of the separations that go on in the human mind. Raise your consciousness, folks. Raise your consciousness. There's much more important things than just skin color. And if you're just caught up in that, guess what? You're not very evolved. Okay? So maybe you could use that as your scale on how evolved you are as a being. If you're still caught up in racism, you're way down there on the evolutionary scale. If you have risen above it and understand that we're all part of humanity, that we're all equal, that it doesn't matter what our color is, then you've risen up in your ability to understand. Use that as your stepping stone, as your guide stone, to see where you are on that particular issue, because it's a big issue. If you are letting the media push your buttons into a racial divide, then you are not absolutely as evolved as you think you are, because you still have an issue you need to deal with. You should be solid on what you understand. There should be no racism on this planet. None. None whatsoever. No one should be dealing with that anymore. Let's get over it now. What do you say? Can you do it? I know a lot of you can, but I know there's just a small minority out there that are going to have problems with this. Just get over it. We're all here together to work together, be together, play together. So let's just do that. Now, one reason why things get so screwed up is people follow along without thinking. We've heard about the RFID chips for a long while. Well, here, 1.5 million fans willingly RFID chipped at Lollapalooza raises debate. Hundreds of thousands of young and old alternative music fans lined up to willingly be tracked with RFID microchips at Lollapalooza in Chi-Town and Chicago Friday. A non-removable wristbands were provided by organizers for attendees to gain entrance to Lollapalooza Music Festival in Chicago's Grant Park that began on Tuesday, August 2nd, according to LibertyFight.com Martin Hill, whose article appeared on the Daily Paul website. For years, innocent, targeted individuals have seemingly unlandishly complained of being involuntarily covertly microchipped, not just by small chips left in personal belongings, but also via non-removable injection. Hitachi holds the record for the smallest RFID chip at 0.05 millimeters times 0.05 millimeters, according to Wikipedia. Some of these TIS have provided medical evidence of injected RFID chips to courts such as James Walbert in Kansas. Some were selected to appear before Obama's Bioethics Commission, where they recounted their miseries. In what has become a controversial story at the time goes on due to the increasing research into RFID technology, it still remains a little unclear as to exactly why Mythbusters were not able to do a show discussing RFID technology. So, a lot more to the article. Bottom line, sheeple. Sheeple. I'm speaking to the sheeple out there. Bah! Sheeple. Wake up. They want to track you. Just pay attention. Check this out. Look in the fields of the farms. You will see animals with tracking devices on them. Okay? When you see them, you just think of them as a dumb animal with a tracking device on them. Guess what they want to do to you? That's right. They want to put a tracking device on you. It's called an RFID chip. They want to put that chip on you. You know why? Because they think that you are a dumb animal just like those dumb animals on the farm. So they want to track you. And if you allow them to do this, if you do not stand up against this, then they will track you wherever you go. You need to stand up. If they're going to track you at Lollapalooza, guess what? Don't go to the concert. If hundreds of thousands of people say they're not going to go to the concert, guess what? Lollapalooza will have to change their procedures on what they're going to do. If people stand up against these things, they will stop. But as long as people continue to allow these things to happen, we got no chance. Moving on. How will martial law affect America? How martial law in America will affect you? We've heard about this. Martial law occurs when the military or militarized law enforcement replaces civilian authorities in order to impose military rule during an emergency. Civil liberties are suspended in the United States. A pivot point that signals martial law is the suspension of habeas corpus, the right to a hearing on whether an imprisonment is lawful. In practice, habeas corpus means a person cannot be imprisoned without legitimate charges and due process. The U.S. Constitution recognizes the suspension of habeas corpus as an identifying feature of martial law. In Article 1, Section 9, the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless when in cases of rebellion or an invasion of public safety may require it. Obama is preparing to declare martial law in America. He may decide not to do so, but it is a prepared option that requires nothing more than the say-so of one man. The necessary executive order has been authorized. It's called the National Defense Resources Preparedness. Grants Obama the power over resources and services needed to support plans and programs in the event of a potential threat to the security of the United States. The grant of authority is so complete that it includes the ability to commandeer technology, industry, and the nation's other resources down to its food resources, livestock resources, and the distribution of farm equipment and commercial fertilizer. The legal framework for martial law is in place. The signs are unmistakable. They include Homeland Security's recently purchased $1.6 billion worth of ammo for domestic security use by its 100,000 plus armed enforcement agents. It also required thousands of military-style armored vehicle. So, long article. We've heard about martial law. We've heard the possibilities of martial law. Is it going to happen? I don't know. Are the pieces in place for it to happen? Absolutely. How do I know? Because I've been paying attention and I've been bringing you the news for quite some time. Not only have I been doing this, but other alternative media sources have done so as well. The pieces are in place. Plans have been made. It's now going to determine whether or not the events are going to take place that are going to put this martial law into effect. I guess that depends on the people. How are the people going to be? You see, we can either be pushed around by this, we can even be walked over by their martial law plans, or the people could stand up. That's a concept. The people could actually stand up, get up off of your couches, turn off your PlayStation games and your television, and stand up and pay attention and take care of yourself and your family and your country, because it's asking you to. Put down the bonbons, put down all the other sodas and all the other GMO foods you're eating, and pay attention, would you? Your country needs you. Your country needs you, and it needs you now. Isn't it going to be silly when you look back in years and you think, you know, this information, the truth that we needed was available then. We were told the truth, but we didn't listen. How stupid are you going to feel when you realize that the truth was known and we allowed all these bad things to happen because we were too afraid? Let's not be stupid. Let's not have those regrets later on. Let's do something about it now. Okay? Somewhere out there, someone has the ability to do something. So let's do it. Let's take care of business now, rather than when it's too late. All right. So, let's say we have to go, and there is a crazy situation. We have to bug out. We have to spend some time in the wilderness. We have to spend some time, you know, where we have to eat and live off the land. Well, here is an article, 52 wild plants you can eat. In addition to using the list below as a resource, consider the importance of properly educating yourself before consuming wild plants. Below are some resources to consider. And here we've got Stalking the Wild Asparagus, Edible Wild Plants, Wild Cards, Edible Wild Foods. Okay, and if you go down this list here, we go down and we see, well, it says, many wild berries. Well, let me backtrack here. We all know which vegetables and fruits are safe to eat, but what about other wild edibles? Are there a few common North American goodies that are safe to eat if you just find yourself stuck in the wild? Well, we got blueberries. Many wild berries are not safe to eat. It's best to stay away from them, but wild blackberries are 100% safe and easy to recognize. Dandelions. The easiest to recognize: if the dandelion in the spring they show their bright yellow buds, you can eat the entire thing raw or cook them to take away the bitterness. They are packed with A and vitamin C. Asparagus, the vegetable that makes you pee smell funny, grows in the wild most of Europe and parts of North Africa. Elderberries. An elderberry shrub can grow about 10 feet and yield tons of food. Elderberries, known for their flu and cold healing properties. You can make jelly from them, and they are very sweet and delicious. Yet be aware that elderberries can be toxic if not properly prepared. Okay, and we got mulberries, we got pine. We got a whole list of things that, in a bind, you could eat. Okay, so check out the list. There's a long list. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but check it out. See how that information might help you out in the event that you need to know such things. All right, angel message for today. Let's check it out. The message is: allow the new to enter your life. Change can be wonderful and exciting if you let it and trust. All right? So, allow the new to enter into your life. Change can be wonderful and exciting if you let it and trust. Very self-explanatory, right? The world's changing. We're looking at new opportunities, things we can do to evolve, and the opportunities are presenting themselves. All right, this is a message today from Lady Amethyst, the Galactic Federation of Light. Again, I do this disclaimer because I know there are those of you out there who really have thoughts that the Galactic Federation of Light is not a good collective. I like the messages. I haven't necessarily found out anything about them that I would say I need to be concerned about. If that was the case, I wouldn't be passing this information on with you. I believe we need to understand that we have brothers and sisters out there in space that are willing to help us, just like down here on Earth. And we need to be open to understanding that when the time comes, we're going to have the opportunity to meet them. And we're going to have the opportunity to decide what we're going to do. And the more that we understand, the more that we prepare ourselves and question to understand this, the more that we will find the answers that we need. Okay? The answers that we need. So, listen to the message. Don't get caught up in the name if you have a problem with Galactic Federation of Light. Listen to the message and the words, because they talk about the spirit. They talk about what is going on energetically. Here we go.
A message from Lady Amethyst. My wish is that you all choose love.
Transmitted through Rositha Boland August 5, 2013.
Beloved children of the present. There are intense moments that flow in front of you now. The sun gives you lots of warmth and love while you feel the joy of all the light. Look up into the sky, you will often see several unusual events. It can be described as Gaia's scenery. I admire your courage and fighting spirit for not allowing a few to control your life. Together we can help each other to manifest heaven on earth. When it comes to angels and archangels, our light is extremely bright and our energy is high, so if you are just awakened or newly awakened, maybe you think it is too far from your own energies for you to be able to feel connected to our messages. Other angels and archangels, like myself and some others, are not alone in that we will wait for the laggards in this marathon journey, those that have no goal, and those who are not ecstatic with utter happiness. What might entice stragglers to wake up, may be to realize how they have been manipulated by not only politicians, but also the media and businesses. My desire is to open your eyes and realize that all peaceful demonstrations, channelings and meditations have the same intentions, a healthy and peaceful planet to share with people and animals. One where fear does not exist, instead, one where love flows. Money is not needed in the future when everyone helps everyone, but until that time, you have now already created many useful methods that are very good for your health. Even free energy. The pharmaceutical industry and the food industry, energy companies, security companies, yes, all who want you to be trapped in their leashes so that they can make money by deceiving you without caring about what is best for you, are some of the reasons why you would want to wake up. To use violence only fuels them, so if you want to get rid of their power forever, send your love to them. Love conquers all. You notice now that I did not come to you today in my usual form, but I come to you through my grounded one, because of my huge love for all of you. My wish is that you all choose love. It is because of this love, that I sometimes lag at the back of the line myself to try to pick up those who hesitate or have lost faith. Look around the world, you see how many of you are awakening. Come with us, my beloved children. My love now reaches new heights for you. Namaste. Lady
Alright, very good. Good message for today. Talking about love. Talking about love. So, I don't see how anyone could consider or think that there's something covert there. Talking about love. And Galactic Federation, what are they up to? They're talking about love. Right? You know, so, love is the most important things, my friends, and that's what we're going to look at in the course of this meditation here. So, let's go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. One more deep breath. And exhale again. Imagine all your chakras are activated, starting with the bottom of the spine. The earth is drawing the energy into the body. The bottom chakra red. Let the energy raise up higher to the next chakra above that, orange right at the belly button. From there, just below the rib cage in the solar plexus, yellow. From there up into the heart space, green. The energy continues up higher into the throat. Blue. From the throat up into the third eye. Indigo. And from the third eye up to the crown chakra, violet. And the light continues on up into the cosmos, connecting somewhere out in space. And there you are, connected to all the energy of the cosmos and of the earth. And as you are connected, I want you just to feel the unconditional love that is flowing through you. Flowing from the planet and flowing from the universe. And you understand, as you feel this love, that love exists in everything. And that love is such a powerful force that it drives the universe. It keeps everything moving. And as we contemplate love, we realize that the greatest force in the universe, love, which transforms all things in the universe, can be used by each and every one of us to transform our lives as well. So imagine sending love out into the world. I want you to imagine all of those you consider your enemies in front of you. And I want you to imagine sending each one of them a ray of love. And as you do, you know that that love is a potent source of healing and will provide instant healing for that individual hit with that love. Some will change their thoughts and their minds on the spot, and others will run away because they don't know how to deal with it. And as we go through life and we send love to those who are our enemies, to those who are having problems with us, we will find things change. Because that love changes them, it cannot help but change them. So let's imagine now sending love to all the dark recesses of the world governments, of the world religions, of the world banks, and the world police. Let's send love to those organizations that they might open their hearts to understand the divinity inside each one of us, that they might step away from all of the restrictions and the confinements and control issues that they have. Let's keep sending this love, knowing that those who cannot handle this love will simply dissipate into the universe to be recycled back again at another time when they can handle the love energy. And as you go into the world today, let your subconscious just keep sending love, knowing that love conquers all. Love will either heal the problems in your life, or it will destroy the enemies around you. Because either they will succumb to the love and they will open their hearts, or they will be completely destroyed. Because a soul that cannot handle the love has no other purpose. For our very nature and purpose is to love. And when we lose sight of that, what's left? So imagine sending love out into the world, and let your subconscious mind continue on that journey over the course of this day. Sending out love, and let's bring our conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment, filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment, filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment, happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. And exhale. And open your eyes. There you have it, my friends. That's it for today. Thank you for being here, as always. I'll be back tomorrow with more news and information. We'll wrap up the week with a little bit more Bigfoot and other news. Till then, be safe. Keep sending out love into the world. It's the most important thing. I love each and every one of you, and I thank you for being here. And I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.
Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things we're talking about is because in life, everything is energy. every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. They'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We
It's
have
time to
arrived.
demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We
It's
have
time to
arrived.
demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First
the
Contact
truth.
Radio. Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. All right, jumping over here, cosmic weather for today. Let's find out what we're going to deal with when we go out and about in the world. Today is the 8th of August, 8/8/2013, moon sign, Virgo, just like yesterday. Virgo is an earth sign. Virgo is, well, Earth, first of all, is all about practical things. Remember, we're looking at energy. It's all about energy. Everything is energy, and energy moves at different rates of speed. It has different intensities, different properties to it, and we learn to work with this energy. There's energy that's fire, water, air, earth. Fire is ideas, water is feelings, emotions, love. Air is words and actions, and then earth is practical forms. What we're doing is we're taking our ideas, we're applying love to it, we're speaking those words out into the world as words of love, and then we're creating a form in that process. Very simple. We just take the ideas, apply love, speak those words of love, create it. Okay? Today, the Hermit, this is Earth. This is the tarot card that represents Virgo. It's all about patience and timing. Okay? No, this is not the cover of the Led Zeppelin album. Has nothing to do with Led Zeppelin. This has to do with patience and timing. The reason that the Hermit has the lantern right there is to hold it up because the Hermit has gone through a process of learning how to be patient and understanding everything works out in a perfect timing, and therefore is able to move through life smoothly, knowing that there's no need to rush someplace because the Hermit will get there right on time. Everything is in timing, and if you're in synchronicity with the timing, then that's the whole idea. And so the practicality of that comes with the practicality of understanding everything is in timing, understanding the patience we have, and that is an important ingredient in creating. Every recipe needs a amount of time to cook whatever it is, bake whatever it is that is being created. And so the Hermit helps us to apply that by being patient so that what is brought down and manifested in the way you want. Okay? We have sun sign is the same as Leo, so Leo's creativity, fire idea, so we got fire on the outside, earth on the inside, and we have a triangle here between the moon, Virgo, and this sign here, which is Pluto. Pluto is deep transformation, so we have Virgo, which is going to go through this phase of deep transformation. The Hermit is in a good place for deep transformation. So the Hermit is the one who goes off on his own, not because he is lonely, but to go out and to gather wisdom, to go off in solitude in order to learn. So in that process, there's already the idea of the Hermit wanting to gain a new transformation, to be transformed with what is going on. So later on today, 5:06 p.m. Pacific Standard Time is when that aspect makes its way. Current moon phase, 3% full, making its way up to the new moon, or the full moon, excuse me. 8 is our tone for today, the galactic tone. Kin is the Earth, guide is the dragon, so we have the Earth guided by the dragon, galactic Earth guided by the dragon, the wave spell of love and loyalty. Phrase for today is I harmonize in order to evolve, modeling synchronicity. I seal the matrix of navigation with the galactic tone of integrity. I'm guided by the power of birth. Spaceweather.com, our solar wind has subsided from yesterday, coronal holes are all smoothed over, and our M-class and X-class flare possibilities low, and we've even dropped lower on a geomagnetic storm. Okay? So that's what's going on out there. For a little bit more insight on what's going on with the cosmos, Earth weather, and other things, this is Suspicious Observers for today. Here we go.
Good morning, folks. Sprites, a relatively expanding topic of study. The scene here over Oklahoma. For those who don't need to Google what these are, consider this slowed down version. His camera is not upside down. I bet from space, that looked like a solar flare. When stories came out that ISON was fizzling, we tried to share why that was wrong. Good article yesterday complimenting this stance on the official Comet ISON Observing Campaign website. I quote, "It is premature to write ISON off." Hurricane Henriette, larger bunch predicts missing Hawaii south, but I wouldn't plan on any Sunday picnics on the Big Island if I were you. This would be a very significant storm if it doesn't swing south. Meanwhile, the story here is flash flooding and a major landslide risk according to the TRMM, second tropical storm in only a few days there. They got the opposite problem in Namibia, where drought has destroyed crops and grazelands. Hundreds of thousands of people are in danger of malnutrition or worse. Same story in Europe, storms popping at the convergence line and hot as blazes east of it. Tassie on deck to take it while some bits of New Zealand may wake up wet. Same converging air masses from north and south create the watch zone this evening here, but be wary up the Gulf and East Coast ahead of that pressure convergence. Solar flares continuing to remain weak. Sunspots on the disk are not very impressive. Large umbras up north have no friends. Two southern groups do. Both polarities central on the disk but separated by charge. Magnetic dance coming in on the south, but the umbras are spread themselves. You remember this filament released 2 nights ago? NOAA's Enlil spiral is now confirming NASA's weak impact, perhaps even just a glancing blow. But last night, we had a more significant eruption. South central on the disk. I'd love to have the stereo core 2s right now, but they're lagging, so the SOHO will suffice for this partial halo eruption here. NASA's Enlil spiral clearly shows impact to Earth on the night of the 10th, just hours after that other CME. Let's have a little more fun here with this darkness entering the picture, top left. That's the leading edge of a set of coronal holes fit for a Leviathan. With CMEs coming, that will make for quite a combined quake watch, but for now, we'll stick with last night's watch score of 5. Speaking of watch, dark plasma filament eruption threat turning in now. Shots of our star to close, eyes open. No fear, it's 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and that's the news. Be safe, everyone.
Alrighty, very good, very good, very good. So, prepare accordingly as you go into the world today. Alright, Bigfoot. Bigfoot, Bigfoot, Bigfoot. Have you seen Bigfoot? At least on the videos, right? Perhaps you have. Well, before we get into another video here, this is a website. It's called Bigfoot Field.